hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town. Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your games to a new destination. From the edge of the sea, from the edge of time, beckons a destination, ancient, hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town. Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your games to a new destination.
Can anyone hear me out there? pace myself tonight, guys, being solo. So, but I sent in chat to a couple of yous on Discord. Questions and comments will be appreciated tonight, as I don't have a deflector on or a special guest tonight. It's Mother's Day, but you know, it's all good. Come on a minute early. How's that sound? Hello, hello, hello. Look, there's no one below me. Normally there is, but you know, with Mother's Day, I can understand. I'm going to try and share my wisdom as much as possible, Grendel, and you know, always breaking the rules, me and Grendel Gattano, right? And hey, one of our winners from Thursday night in our stratagem giveaway, which was awesome. Really neat stuff. Looking forward to the next one. And awesome, man. Looking forward to the next one coming up. We'll have 2 next month, I think. So I have Miniature Building Authority's scheduled one. Hey, Fraley, what's up, man? So running solo tonight, but this is going to be a really cool one tonight. Tonight, hey, anyone who doesn't know me, but I guess most of you do, Jay, aka Lord Gazumba, and when I first did my Gabbins early on, I did them solo, so this is not a big deal, but I got Walt on, I got Colby on. His character is one of the main characters we're going to discuss tonight. We're going to go back to the beginning of time to discuss where we are at this point. Now, I have a little trick I'm going to do. I'm going to run the bottom scroller and not the top right one for now. I want to show you what I'm going to do. So, nice, Left Coast Scott. Hey, by the way, Scott, my last name is Scott, so that's kind of. But Principal, you know, this has been our place forever. So let me do this. Watch this. Bloop. Okay, I'm over here because I got my background popped out and pulled out and brightened. So I'm gonna leave myself on this side for the time being, and take a look at. So hopefully you can see this Pomarj map and. Where we are right now, and once again, Anna, I don't think Anna is going to be able to make it even on tonight too, but this is an Anna Meyer map that, you know, was edited for us. You can see our Order of York symbols down there near our Keep Wales Castle, all along this Pomarj border. And so I'm going to talk about this map a bit, and then if someone else gets able to pop on, I'll move things back around. I'll leave the upper right scroller showing a bunch of fights that got to this point. Once we get to that discussion, then I'll flip myself back onto the other side. But thanks for coming on tonight, guys. Thank you, everyone. Left Coast Scott, Fraley, Grendel Wolf, Rocks, Moondog. I saw Tap That Azamar, which is Maya on. I saw a lot of people, and thank you. I wanted to do this prelude for the next. This is an Order of York event, and I try and do these every 6 months to 9 months now, a big event. And the last one we did was our fundraiser, which was in March. But this one I've been planning a long time. So let's just start at the beginning. If you take a look at this map here, and I don't know if you're familiar with Living Greyhawk, and you played in Living Greyhawk. And by the way, guys, if any other questions or input, please just put it in there, and I will absolutely talk to you about it. And Left Coast Scott, it's good to see that you have you're familiar with Principality. If you're a 3E, you may be a Living Greyhawk player, or you may have been in that era, so you may understand some of the differences here. We're going to go back to the beginning. Now, you know, we all started. Everyone knows. Oh, Anna's work is unbelievable, and Anna did all this custom work for me. And then we implemented putting all of our heraldry that Brian Blumklotz did into the map. So that's why I said our United York symbols right there, which is so cool. I mean, it just makes us feel so important that we have it on that map, right? So it's an awesome thing. We started in 8081. Now Colby 609, that's Walt. He's got a main character. and he's moderating tonight, which is fantastic. He's got a main character that's as old as like we are. He's like, the character's got to be 40 to 45 years old. The character actually I believe predates my campaign, because it was a dwarf he used in the name Schlemmen Meal. A dwarf he used in some other things before we brought him over. But what's so cool is that we're talking about 1981, and this is like right about when I'm about to go to high school in 8th grade, going into high school. And if any of you have read the latest Earth Journal that came out, and this is Earth Journal, I think 28, all right, I'm going to not take it out, but I'm going to show it to you, because there's only 100 of these made. Okay, here you go. Earth Journal 28. All right, I have 2 articles in this Earth Journal. This Earth Journal was specifically made for GaryCon in March. Hey, Naz. Hey, Tim. So this Earth Journal has 2 articles. I'm going to refer to the first article a little bit and give you a little background on how we got where we are for this Defense of the Watchers Towers event we're going to start on Thursday. Hey, Mike. Hey, and there's Greyhawk Mike. Mike runs with Anna. It has Legends and Lore, which comes back on Wednesday, June 5th, and their first guest on the new show lineup will be me. So I'm looking forward to that. And I got a little, I got something. Mike is like responsible for a lot of our streaming. I'll save that story for on the Legends and Lore show. So for something that was put on his website in October of 2017. Some of you know the story. It's kind of a funny story. So if we go to this is the article here, the Order of Ulick founding and synopsis. You can pull this. This is one of 2 articles I wrote for the Earth Journal. You can pull that off. Oh, you were there at that con, man. I wish I was there, and I wish that I could have gone, but I'm scheduled to go, Mike, in 2020, next March, as long as I don't have a conflict with my travel for real life work. We get a Florida trip if you make certain sales goals. I made it this year, but they moved GaryCon to the last week in March. If it's the same weekend, I'm kind of screwed, and work would have to come first. But I already got the hotel and everything, so let's hope that I can go to GaryCon next year. It's already in the lined up to do. All right, so when we started playing, and everyone knows, when you're kids, you have no idea what the hell you're doing. So we call it, it's the Monty Hall days. A lot of you old school Groniers know, the Monty Hall days is when anything goes. The rules really didn't matter. You're fighting Tarrasques every other week. You're fighting demons and devils and Asmodeus and Demogorgon and who are, and it's just like, it's crazy stuff, right? Back in those days. Well, at least we kind of had our act. I guess I did. It was still a little crazy. The days of and Walt will Colby will verify days of Skeeve and Florimond and Pete Moss and all our other characters we had, super high levels. It was crazy time. But the idea came about that we wanted to everyone wants to make a keep, right? Everyone wants to do, make up a fortress, and we're adventuring because a lot of our old school characters going back to the day and we had it that they were all fought in the Battle of Emerald Meadows. Yeah, exactly, Mike. You know how that is. So the Battle of Emerald Meadows happened in year 569 in the game. So our main characters, the first generation of characters, all fought there. That was the story background. Now, my first main character was from the Wild Coast, and it was either Wild Coast or Selene for the most part. That's where everyone was from. We played a lot of humans, half elves, and elves. That was about it in those days. So when it came around to what do we do, and we had this big war, and I discussed it in this article. Keoland had this big war with the Sea Princes, and the Sea Princes had this land army no one knew about, and it was called the Sorrowful Wars, and it lasted for some years, and that went on, and this is the kind of Monty Hall stuff you do when you have a folio, you have your World of Greyhawk folio, that's all you have. There's no box set, there's nothing besides that folio out. And there's modules, but you can't run the same module over and over and over, even though that's probably what we did before we started adventuring, logging adventures, right? So You know, those were fun times when you're younger and you're watching Animal House and Caddyshack on what was called Prism. If Katana, if you were around then, watching those shows on cable, HBO or whatever, and you're playing D&D with your friends and you're watching that stuff. I mean, that's the way it was back then. During the summers, and yeah, exactly. So what happened was you got to a point where, like, well, what happens now after these wars are over? We had this big fight in Selene. It was called the Battle of Sorrowful Death. And from that point on, what do you do? And that was in our time frame, which is completely different from the. And I've been told not to use canon anymore. Published sources is now the new terminology we're to use, per Icarus and Brian Blomklotz, which is fine. From that point on, they wanted to form a keep somewhere, and they were like, "Well, where can we put this?" And I'm looking on the map, and I'm like, I'm talking to myself when I say this. Yeah, published sources is now, because what is canon? We'll have that discussion down the road. I'll invite back. I'm going to try and invite back. And Greyhawk Mike, if you can do this on a date, I want to have all of the future of Greyhawk group on a Gabbin show all together and just talking. I want to do that within the next before Gen Con. So that was an idea I had. So, and that's everyone who wants to participate to discuss canon and things like that. So where do you go from there? The Pomarj is now used to be dwarven petty or human petty nobles. The humanoids, according to the folio, have been pushed out of the Lord Mills, but went through the Sus into the Pomarj and took it over. And then I'm thinking to myself, as a kid, well, there's this river, the Jewel River runs down from this out of the Sus. There's nothing there. There's no keeps. There's nothing defending it. It's kind of like there's blank. It's a perfect place to put it. So that's what happened, and that's where we put Wales Castle, the furthest one south. I don't know if you can see my arrow, but all the way down at the bottom. That's the biggest keep out of all of them as well, and we started there. And this is before technically my campaign started. I haven't started logging adventures yet, so we're looking at 80 right now in this discussion, 1980. So still haven't started adventuring yet. So the Wales Castle's put there, and then the outposts get put up next. You see Outpost 1 up near Thunderstrike, which didn't exist back then. I didn't want to take it off the map. It's kind of a cool place. Outpost 1 up in near all the way up top where the Susfar's border is, and then you go down to Outpost 2, which is much closer to Wales Castle. They were built next. And Colby 609. Yeah, see the Pomarj and die. And Blake Ryan Batman, that happened. That article came out, I'm going to say 83. I think it came out 3 years after we're discussing what we did here. It was cool. It had all the different tribes written up. Roger Moore did a lot of good stuff. It may have been later than that, but yeah, you're absolutely correct. They did see the Pomarj and die, and had all different tribes and their names, if I recall correctly. So that was a very good article. I agree 100% on that. Yeah, absolutely. So I meet Tim, and I meet Tim and Walt. I meet Walt at high school because he has like A3 or A4, one of the A series in his hands, and I was running cross country and track, and he was friends of all those guys, and then he ran cross country and track too. And I was like, "Oh, you play D&D," and that's how when we met. And then I met Tim, who everyone knows, Timmy Sire, Tim the Naz. Tim was on Thursday night. Everyone loves Tim because Tim's crazy. And he had his character Skeeve and Florman. So when we did the first logged adventure, the Battle of Outpost number 1, we're looking at number 1, right? So we're looking at number 1, and right now we're at 851. So here we go. Number 1, Battle of Outpost number 1. Okay, that's where we are. So a lot of stuff transpired early on, like Temple of Elemental Evil is number 38, and the founding of the city of Altamira was the adventure after that. It was called Cavalier School. It was 39. So we're not even there yet on what our discussion is tonight. So you get to up in the 90s, number 94. the year 600 in our game. Okay, so that's how much time has transpired. 7 years have transpired since the founding. The first keep has been built, Wales Castle, and there's a lot has gone on. A lot, almost 100. We've done almost 100 adventures at this point. Game time year. This is a guess, but I'm looking at other adventures that were run, and we were running stuff. Walt with Wayne and all. So I'm thinking this is 80. I'm guessing 88 or 89. Okay. So, well, yeah, so Scott, Lefka Scott, I always say, and I'm not trying to be a braggart or anything about this, but this goes back to Greyhawk Mike's October 2017 post from the Canadian gentleman. This is our 39th year of the campaign, and it's continuous, and we believe it's the longest in existence, in Greyhawk especially. I don't know if in all games, but continuous ongoing with mostly the same players. Um, but it's been a blast, and we're just going to keep on going. Yeah, exactly, Mike. There you go. You're intrigued. Don't look back on your old Greyhawk reposts, okay? Please don't. Just save it for June 5th. You'll understand. You'll understand where I'm coming from. And Anna thinks it's a hysterical joke. I know she has something she'll tell. She's told a lot in a couple of the shows she's been on here. It's hysterical. It really is funny. And it just shows a little bit in Wallace. It's a little bit of, maybe a little bit of egotism here, but we were planning on trying doing this streaming anyway. But it set things rolling. Yes. So Mike, you have a lot of credit for all this initial starting. So we got to that point where we're doing adventures, and Walt's character Schlemmenmeal is a dwarf, and he is a powerful dwarf. And now we're going to start talking about the prelude stuff, getting into the meat of this. Let me scan through this and then stop. I went right by it. See, there's a lot of here we go. Right there. Let me freeze it on this one for a second. Okay. Frozen. All right. So let me flip myself back, and I'll start the other one with all the adventures that have gone on to this point too. Let me put myself back here, and let me start this one up top. Start that one rolling, because we have that'll start spinning now too. Yeah. Well, it brings up a point. Playing children of the original characters. I mean, that's where we are. In some cases, grandchildren. It's been that long, so willingly admit, yeah. All right. So in this thing, you see, it's hard. Right smack dab in the middle is a dwarf with an axe. He's kind of turned a little bit. That's Schlemmenmeal. He's actually middle aged for a dwarf now. That's how long the character's been in the campaign. So very powerful dwarf. Not a fan, just like we are. Generations, absolutely. Schlemmenmeal's not a fan of the Prince of Ulick. Schlemmenmeal is a character that is I believe, from the Lort Mills originally. But look at this. I have all the characters for our event coming up right here. So I'm going to pull him out. Here we go. Currently 13th level. 13th level Mountain Dwarf male. Okay. He's a god. That's funny. Clangeddon Silverbeard is deity. Mountains. He's an honorary friend of the Iron League. That was an adventure we did a long time ago too. So we had in our hierarchy, and you see the Order of York chart up there. Now Schlemmen is still inactive. He's technically not active, but I believe he is in the top. He's like 24th in that realm of character numbers as far as the Order of Ulick goes. Everyone gets a number when they come in, and that's the number that they've entered. We're like 211 now. So, yeah, well, that's the thing, Rox. I have I don't throw out anything, man. You should see the stacks of books and the stacks of stuff I have in my storage room. Because you never know when you're going to need to refer back to something, or you're never going to know I found I found documents that were 40 years old the other day, looking for something else. I was like, oh my God, I still have this. Thank God. So I never want to throw stuff out. So Schlemmen wanted to get his followers. Okay. You know how you get followers at 9th level? But he didn't have a keep. He didn't have fortress. And I had this idea for putting out one tower out, and you can see it. See where the heraldry is for the bad guys, the dripping eye. Below that, watch 1, watch 2. Okay, that is Watchers Tower 1 and 2 out in the Pomarj. And so he wanted to get his followers. And look at this, well, follower list. But I can't show it to you because there's a lot of X's on it. But here, Shalom Emil's forces. Okay, that's a photocopy of it. All right, here's your follower list. So he placed his character Shlem and said that he'll take over this keep for the time being in the Order of Ulick. And look at it, it's out in the middle. Strand Keep Castle was not there. Winchester's Bulwark, Warmonger's Tower, and Herbie's Tower, the White Tower North, they were not there at this point. So it's only Outpost 1, 2, and the Wales Castle. So Watcher's Tower 1 was placed, and the idea was kind of like what they did in Baghdad, in Iraq, was go out and make yourself a focal point so they're not attacking across the river, so they're going to attack you. So we got this idea, and Skeeve, Tim's character, used a bunch of wishes at the time. And made it magically impervious, made it, you couldn't rock the mud underneath it, you can't teleport in or out, you can't dimension door in or out. It's the only way to get to it's by physical. You can climb up the walls, of course, you can fly and land on the top, but you can't do any spells in or out. You can't, you do fireballs or, dig spells to not. So this first tower is magically impervious. So they wanted to make it a focal point for a bunch of attacks. And so we had adventure number 94, Watcher's Tower. Okay, and that's going back. Now, this is still on the fringe of Monty Hall first generation, second, third generation characters. This is third generation characters, but we went back into the first generation adventure. All right, so a lot of the old school characters participated in this one. So when I talk about generations, the Monty Halls are first, Gazumba, Hawk, Fensick, Leuven, Lena, they're all second generation. Third generation is a bunch of new characters and a bunch of new players. So that's where we are at this point. Our third group of characters is in at this point. So isn't that a Cantona waiting to happen with all that warning? Well, you got to remember, Cantona, well, yes, that's a good question, Tim. And Naz, I'm glad you're with all that drinking. I'm glad you asked that, and we'll discuss that a little bit later on. But when you think about it, look, you're nowhere near reinforcements. You're nowhere near support, and it's put out there for a purpose. So we just said, hey, let's just do it, and then go from there, and had some fun with this. So Adventure 94, Watcher's Tower, obviously they held it. 3 adventures later is a major adventure that really plays a bearing on what's going on in this entire campaign with the Prince of Ulick. And Greyhawk Mike, if you're on, Varnafane. Varnafane is known for what? Okay? Supposedly, or Colby, what's Varnafane in the Sus Forest, in that border of the Welkwood and Arley Sus Forest, known for having? See if anyone can answer that question. It is a dungeon, and it's supposedly something was kept there. Nah, Varnafane. Yeah, I think I'm saying it right. It's a key. It's a dungeon setting. It's in a lot. It's in From the Ashes, and it's in the original Free City of Greyhawk box set. I think I'm saying it right. It is where the 5 dwarven axes of legend are supposedly kept. I think I'm saying it right. So, yeah, I think that's the correct name for it. If I'm saying the wrong name, I apologize, but I think that's it. Yeah, I think, yeah. If you look in the Great City of Greyhawk box set From the Ashes, I forget which one it's in. There was 5 dwarven legendary axes, and in the campaign we have had 3. So they find the Servant of Clangeddin, which is the strongest of all 5. In this adventure, number 97, Servants of Clangeddin. They find it, they get it. I believe it was in a dragon's hoard at this point. It was out of Varnafane, and they found it. And Schliemann used it and then made a deal. Walt, correct me if I'm wrong, but made a deal with the Prince of Ulick and gave it to the prince, and I believe as a goodwill gesture. Now remember, our prince is not Olin Stankaran. Our prince is Prince Dorak. Once again, going all the way back in time frame, and still to this day is runs very neutrally aligned. Yes. Thank you, Walt. I think I was pretty sure that's what happened back in that adventure. And okay, what? So, well, the axe I made up myself. It doesn't talk about the axes, what the powers are, but we've had 3 of them, and Walt's characters had 2 of them. And then an NPC, Brolin in the Iron Brigade, has Muammon's Peace, which is kind of like a ranger type dwarven axe. It's kind of bizarre, actually. But there's 3 out in the campaign. There's still 2 missing. So the servant of Clangeddin's found. He gives it to the Prince of Ulick, who in turn gives it to his champion. The champion is named Horkar the Magnificent. Now, Horkar the Magnificent and Schlemminmeal hate each other's guts, because when 2 big deal dwarf fighters get against each other, there's a lot of, it's not enmity, but there's a lot of rivalry there. Well, the servant of Clangeddin has this mass fear effect. It can fear in a cone. And I remember distinctly, that's a good question, Az, and the answer is no. We did not. We never did we did not do the Hand of Vecna module ever. We did not give out the Hand of Vecna, this is not the one where you have all different pieces of them. We never did the Age of Worms, and we never did the Vecna. So, but I appreciate that question. It's a good question, definitely. So, Horkar the Magnificent loved fearing a lot of Knight of Ulick people and their allies. And I remember Alan's character, Torque Storm, his Sylvan Elf fighter, always failed his saving throw magically and always was feared by it, and it was hysterical. So, yes, that's why Axel also returned to the Principality with the axe as well. Thank you for that. Axel Cronin has one of the other ones. Has one of the other of those battle axes. So in number 97, Servant of Clangeddin is given back to the Prince of Ulick, and there's a lot of adventures between then where the rivalry goes. So the only other one I could find in the Watcher's Tower was number 210, Knowles threatened second Watcher's Tower. So we must have put it up by then. It's hard to go through the old log because I don't have groups associated with it. I started logging the groups, I don't know, around 550 or 600. Listen to this. So which group was associated with it? So I got to go manually through it or do search on keywords. It's tough. So my point is this. And if anyone played Living Greyhawk knows this map is completely different from top to bottom over here. So if you go look at the top here, Outpost 1, White Tower, Orog's Mound. I mean, that was just recently put in for our campaign as well. The White Tower is Herbie the White's Keep. He's one of Alan's characters, another Knight of Ulick, another one who's semi-retired, who's in middle age, now human. And then you come down around Winchester's Bulwark. We've done a ton there. We'll talk about that. That's what's showing on the upper right-hand corner now. Warmonger's Tower, we were just there Thursday night on Carlos Lysing's adventure. Warts and all, we started there. Down Outpost 2 in Wales Castle. If anyone knows, all right, so in Living Greyhawk, obviously the humanoids have come across the river and have attacked this area, and they tried doing that in our campaign. We always thwarted them back. So the main thing was near Haven Hill, north and south, along that border, they have keeps running, almost kind of like what they in Lord of the Rings, what they did with the towers that could see each other with the fires. They had those running all the way up the border as a defense. So it's kind of like a Harrier line in Living Greyhawk. Well, it's obviously, if any of you played Living Greyhawk, hey, that's just a different campaign. That's all it is, which is cool. And ours is just different because of of what we did, what transpired in our campaign, and so with the Order of Yulakira, the humanoids never make it across the river. All these years, right? So I forgot to do a couple things here. I got to get us up to our new total here too. So let me get them caught up. So and I don't know what year we're talking about now with this second adventure, but it's got to be in the early '90s at 210. But we get to the point where we wanted to really start developing a character base from first level in this area up and really start redeveloping the campaign back to our roots. And that's what we've been doing since we've been bouncing around a little bit, but since last September, actually last August, we really started hardcore in this. And this is the point where we've gotten to. So if I go to my list here of adventures, there, Blake Ryan, Batman, and Five Eater may be. The Sus Forest is humanoids. It's all sorts of nasty things. There's old temples. There's old sulis, ruins. There's all the way up and down the Sus. The Sus is so dense and brambled and old trees. Kind of like Mirkwood is if you go off the path. If you ever, that bad, and you can't see, daytime. Hey, Worley 002, thank you. I really appreciate it. So you'll be 971 because I got to get 970 in. But thank you so very much. So it is dense and above. Hey, good to see you. Hang out, and we're talking some old school here. We're getting our campaign. We're gonna what's going to be going on for Thursday. Trying to set some background, showing some of the adventures that led up to this. Let me run the bottom scroller again too. So, and normally I have a guest on, and with Mother's Day, it was really tough to get the crew on tonight, but that's okay. I can handle it. Yeah, zero, Tim. Now 0 groundskeepers. So we started back in August. I said I'm going to run a huge plot line. And I appreciate everyone's input. And yeah, well, while our history, and this is another discussion for the canon published source discussion down the road. Your canon is what your campaign is, especially if you keep your campaign going. All right, so we'll start it back up there. So you're published. That's why Brian and Christoph wanted to switch to published sources, which is fine. And that's what I did in my latest article that's being submitted for Journal 29. I switched the terminology to published sources. So, yeah, pretty interesting, actually. We're going to talk about Adventure 832. Now, we're in 851 now, so we're going to go back to last August. We're streaming. You'll see the overlays. We don't even have any stratagem underlays in. I think we started them in 834, 2 adventures later. All right, so if you want to go, here's Winchester's Bulwark on the big map in the middle. You see that? That's the battle site is where we're going in Adventure 832. It's called Surprise Across the Jewel. Andre Winchester's scouts aren't coming back. What the hell's going on? So a bunch of Nightingale characters go across the river to find out what's transpiring. They find a lot of dead piles and piles of dead troops. Here's the terrain. Look, I don't have an underlay yet. Still, I'm not using them yet for this adventure. So, and there's these 2 towers. You're going to see these again in an adventure upcoming too, in the winter scene. So they also, when they get here and they find all the humanoids in these areas, they get up top and they can see armies crossing the river on the Jewel River on both sides of Winchester's Bulwark, the keep. Realizing that there's going to be an invasion, they come back at the end of this adventure. And this is called Attack at Winchester's Bulwark. There we go, 833. Still no underlayment on this one. This was the biggest fight I've ever done, by far. It was way too big. I mean, I put the full Winchester's Bulwark keep up there. Huge. It took a long time. It took 3 weeks of streaming to get this out. It was very difficult to run. Rounds could take almost an hour in some cases. It was a lot to manage, and I think you'll see in this new event I'm going to be doing, I'm going to change it up a little bit the way I'm going to run it. So there's the inside of the keep, all done. Miniature Building Authority, of course, one of our 2 sponsors. Gotta love their stuff. Beautiful stuff. All the whole keep is all Miniature Building Authority with some touches done by Bill on the inside. And that's the setup. Yes. Oh, at NBA, one of our two sponsors, our giveaway June 13th. We give Grendel. We every quarter NBA gives away a $75 gift certificate for subs and a 25 for followers. So yes, he did, and there's pictures coming up on that, Walt. So this is a huge fight. We started with this. We're talking about end of August, beginning of September of last year. This happened. It was massive. Andrea's troops are completely depleted after this. This is a massive fight. It goes on. Lots of great picks here. I'm just going to let it run for a bit, but we had some major characters. Everyone had at least one Knight of Yule character in this, and this is where we differentiate it from group events where it's open Knights of Yule events. I say this is the level you can take. Give me a reason for your character being there, and then we run the adventure, and that's how this one went. There's a picture of Andrea Winchester and her staff, of her Castellan and all, and there was a lot of death on this one. So there's the first invasion. I mean, that battering ram is miniature building authority. It's freaking awesome. The siege towers are miniature building authority. All those huge walls are miniature building authority. Great stuff, Grendel. Great stuff. So this fight, I know Walt had fun with it, especially since outside of this, his dual class Paladin Mage came out and was fighting an Earth Elemental by himself, and he was out here just going toe to toe with things, blasting shit. Yeah, see, and there's the siege tower coming on from the other side. It was, yeah, that's so true. So we had a blast during this. I don't want to do it again because it's just too much to handle. It's a lot because I had to do it by side. It was just way too much. A big fight, and big fights are great, but it just was a lot to handle. That trebuchet is another miniature building authority piece too. It doesn't function in reality, but it's a really nice piece as well. So there was a three-pronged, three-sided attack. There was few characters defending each side. Some went out to engage them. The characters were very heroic in it. So I will say that there's the group of characters talking with Andrea, and Andrea is giving them instructions. So I see Gilgalad, Stefan, Alexis Winchester, Arden the Vanquisher. You remember that name? Jake Winchester, Scorn, Sunhild, Railstone Gradavis, and Temporal. So that's the group of characters they're in. Now, Tom, everyone knows Tom. Tom started playing again after an absence of about 14 years on a regular basis. Came in. Here's the big Walt, here's you on all your glory. That's Gilgalad outside fighting a summon Earth Elemental. Things are storming the castle walls, and he's out there fighting it by himself. He walled a stone off the gate so the Earth Elemental couldn't smash through it. Brilliant idea. Great fight move there. So, yep, there you go. There's your Paladin and all your Paladin Mage and all your glory. We were big on dual classing back in the day. Now, there's fire scenes here on this one. That's from Bill. Was a wall fire was placed up there in defense. It caught everything on fire. It just was, and you'll notice in the winter scene that whole area of the wall is destroyed, which was cool when we did our low levels. So you have this here. The siege tower had been knocked over, and there's just summon crap everywhere. Hey, Arnix8, thank you for hitting that follow. Thank you so very much. Like I said, guys, please feel free to ask questions. I know I'm going way back, but I want to set up what we're doing in our campaign for the Order of Yule to get to where we are in this adventure coming on Sunday. So, yes, dying is always a glorious thing. You have a fire elemental fighting out there that got summoned by, I think, Scorn, Bill's character. There's actually gnolls on the wall. There's Arden fighting. So they had breached across the walls. There's a group of baddies that teleported in. There's the dead. That red character is the Red Menace. He didn't last long, and I thought he was going to be great, and they kicked the shit out of him. And that was disappointing. But the Red Menace was this specialty assassin, and he he bought it real quick. So I was really upset about that. But the fight went on, and they did very well. We're inside now. One of the side, this is the far other side, got breached. This is, I did a synopsis. This is fighting inside the keep at this point. They have a bunch of, this army came from out of the system, out of nowhere. And the idea was it was an Erythrenol-led army, not of Ravagers, if you know what Ravagers are, but it was an army that had come, and it was, for some reason, had gone into the Sus and came out and wanted to come and really put a hurting, for some reason, on the Order of Ulick, and saw this keep as the weak point, and it was at the time. So there's dead trolls out there. There's all sorts of dead stuff. There's Jake Winchester, and there's Gilgalad. He's made all the way back from the outside. You're still alive, Gilgalad, here. So, yes, don't underestimate your players. Absolutely. You don't want to, how do I put this? Any of you guys who DM, the last thing you want to do is make it too hard and crush your players and take their spirit away. You want to make it right on that border, right? Right on that border between making it, death or victory. And that's tough to do for all of us. That's a tough thing to do. I have Manchichi 17. That's awesome. It's a tweaking a little bit here and there. You got to really know your players, because if you don't, that's where you run into trouble. And something of this scale, especially, is extremely, extremely difficult to. Yes, planned encounters never survive encountering players. That's Rock. You put that very well, and that's awesome, Tim. Thursday night, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a real good example. Carlos wrote warts and all for our campaign. And he said to me afterwards, he got me, and it said afterwards, I don't take into consideration your hero point system that you use, and that cheers can come in and actually help the characters. And I said, well, I understand that, Carlos, but in the world of streaming, you have to do things like that, because you want everyone who's watching now, you want them to have fun, and you want them to be part of it, and that's the way to do it for us. And I said to him, it's not a bad thing. It's less character. So we had one character killed, and he got raised, and that was Tim's character Finder. But it's okay. Instead of having 3 characters killed, maybe only 1 got killed. But that's the difference between running a game at home and maybe running a game where you have interaction from an audience. I try to explain that. I said that to Carlos. I said, it's not a bad thing, man. But just note that you have to take that in consideration when you're DMing. And he's like, I guess I could have made this harder. I said, no, it was hard enough, man. For a one-nighter, it was hard. Trust me. The Gray Ooze with the Sonic Blast, it was hard. It was hard enough, right? So, it was a blast. Now we're into winter. All right, so that adventure, the Attack of Winchester's Bulwark, they're successful. We're into winter. We go to adventure number 840. So we did some other different adventures, because we have 19 adventuring groups. So we did others between 833 and 840. 840, Beginnings at Winchester's Bulwark. Brand new first level characters. No named group. I always said the group with no name. We do a pool of players. Everyone knows. If you don't know our style now, everyone has more than one character. Here's the keep. It's in the winter. You can see that wall is gone, where the fire was. That's destroyed. The Order of Ulick is short on troops. Oh, this underlayment by Stratagem is the best I've ever seen, guys. It is beautiful. Wall will attest to that. It is freaking beautiful. They're like $65 each if you buy 2. I mean, they're my second sponsor, so you buy 2 of those, you get 5% off the order. It's right on Amazon. I get them without hex grids. It's beautiful. Now, notice some trees have grown since the winter. I just put them in there because I have some adventures I'm going to do. There's the wall destroyed. That's another NBA piece. There's like 10 troops here. There's Andrea Winchester and 10 troops. So she's put a call out for troops to come, and this is where this new adventuring group came from. Yeah, oh, she couldn't. She couldn't, Walt. You know, she's one of the most powerful characters in the campaign, but one person can't protect the keep. So this was the idea behind that. And then all the dead, here's another faux pas. All the dead creatures are piled and burned right there and left there. So you guys, you know what's going to happen in a future adventure, right? And it did. So that's the funeral pyre area where they burned all the dead characters from the previous adventure that was in the fall. So, yeah, I just loved putting this back up and putting it in a winter scene. It was kind of a cool thing to do, to change it. So I had this up for, I don't know, almost 6 weeks as we ran adventures. We ran adventures 840, 41, 42, and then 44 and 40, 44 and 45. So those adventures were all lower level characters now out of this keep, all building up, you know, doing missions, performing tasks. There's Bill. So there's also we've done some changes too. So that's Ace Broadhead, who you're going to see Thursday night as well. Ace has a tower. That is the tower being built by Bill, who just Sashar Scorn. He's building that. That's, you know, he's doing that. He's placing that in the spot that the stables got burned down. So they came in. They had a bard, Oxaxius, the master bard, came in and fixed, built that up quickly. Now they're continuing to build a tower. They got conscripted labor in an adventure, fixing the outside walls. So of course, you guys all know what's going to happen at this point. So we have a, like I said, we had a blast doing these. I did 1 or 2 scenarios each adventure, and that way we split the groups up. It was pretty fun. Let me scan through. They have 3 dwarves that have come from Lord Koppel's keep. Lord Koppel is a dwarven lord who's one of the few that actually work with the Order of Ulic. He's from the north. He's near Altamira. Doesn't exist in published sources. Exists in our world. But he sent 3 of his dwarven engineers here to assist this group. Okay? So with these conscripts, they have 3 dwarves and a bunch of humans labor trying to fix this wall. Oh, and there's our first thing. You got some, well, I forget, there's an adventure before this where they know they have to fix the wall. A whole bunch of undead come through, and a necromancer summons them and brings them through. This is afterwards. I didn't actually put them up. So then, wait to see this fight. Now, this fight was fun because they're trying to come through. Look at this. So this is Carnage Deluxe here. You got a bunch of different types of goblins. You got some goblins on wolves. You got a priestess of Erythnol standing up there, and they're surrounding her. So the one with the two-handed hammer, she's the bad guy. Look at that. They had some goblins that were suicide goblins, kind of like in the Helm's Deep battle. But you can see that splat mark. He didn't get there, blew himself up. So really another cool fight. So Bill, thanks for hopping on, man. I know it's a Mother's Day and it's kind of tough to get on, but I really appreciate it, man. So we'll see. Erythnol was actually Bill's idea. Sashar Scorn, it was his idea, and that's another thing we talk about. I'll listen to my players and with ideas and run with it. So that was his idea to bring that out. I mean, look at the carnage here. It was it was a bunch. It was massive, and just to defend this wall breach as it's being built up. So yeah, that was a lot of the conscripted prisoners that they brought. Humans, a lot of them got killed. There's another angled wall thing here where one of Bill's characters is up on the wall shooting down. There it is. There's the angle. That's a beautiful. I love this angle. So yes, as you can see, Bill's character up here. Bill, I forget which one it is. Was it Rancic, or was it Dywin? I think it was Dywin up here. He's shooting down. He shot the suicide bag guy and. He blew up before he got to the wall. Now, one made it to the wall and did some minor structural damage to it and did a lot of damage to Dywin. but that was a dysentery. Here's inside afterwards. There's all the player characters that are down. Notice there's 3 or 4 of them that are put in the negatives. No one died, but there's 4. 4 characters got really messed up in this fight. It was a nasty, nasty fight. There are the dwarves working with what's left in the conscripts to continue with this. Kind of, but this was an open wall. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and so there it is. There's the wall completed. They fixed it. So that was an adventure we did in this settings in this between 840 and 845. I did all sorts of lower level stuff to build these characters up, and that was one of them. And like I said before that, there were and I should have put up a couple pics on that one. They were in the bar, and all these skeletons started coming through the opening, and they're like, "Oh my god! Well, there's a necromancer out there. You couldn't really make zombies out of them, but raising all the dead pyre of skeletons, it was kind of funny." So, and there's the wall. The wall's finally fixed. Hey, they got some more security, which is still winter time, but we're getting there. Next, Adventure 843. Back to the battle site. This is 832, Surprise Across the Jewel, in a winter scene. They send a group of higher level characters across because there's word a flying patrol has spotted troops again massing at these 2 spots, and that's the battle site on the map here across Winchester's Bulwark. You see that says battle site on the middle of the map? That's the spot. Okay, Anna put that in for our map. So the group goes, and there's Garth Warmonger himself on this adventure. Okay, Garth Warmonger's the head of the Order of Ulick in the Pomarj Principality Theater. We have a CO and an XO of each location. He's below the 3 main commanders of the whole Order of Ulick, and then come all the COs and XOs. And that's why the heraldry symbols of the shields are different, and except for the Principality Ulick one, which is the main location. So that's where you have all those different shields. So this is just a good old brawl with a lot of higher, like larger bugbears and stone giants, evil stone giants, and a couple Fomorians. It's a nasty one. Hey, Will, happy Mother's Day to you. Thanks for coming on, man. Thank you all for coming on. I know we had our festivities a little earlier. Had my in-laws over. My mother would do that next Saturday. Her birthday's on the 18th, so we kind of put them together. So yeah, Will, thanks. We're talking about adventures leading up to our next big event coming on Thursday. So look, this is a big fight, and this is the spot that started it all back in August in winter scene, which I love, converting the scenery from spring and summer to winter. That was kind of cool and fun to do. And thanks to Bill's crafting, you can see all this is Sharscorn's crafting. I mean, it's fantastic stuff. That's a Terranscape piece that looks like Weathertop. I got that years ago. Does some great stuff, but the guy's booked out years in advance, so I was lucky to get that whole mound is his too. They're the 2 pieces of Terranscape I have, are those 2 things, and a Scree Hill is the other thing. They're 3 pieces I have from Terranscapes, but he just doesn't have time to make stuff for commissions anymore. So this fight goes on, and it's a large fight. I know one of Bill's characters got killed. Was it Aelwyn? Someone got killed in this one. And ever use model train stuff? Yes and no. We used the trees. We have a whole bunch of old tree sets that we don't use anymore because Bill's trees now are so much nicer. And these are all Michael's trees from the Christmas that you could get like 40-50% off all the time. So he's put them in some terrain pieces, and he made a whole bunch of loose ones for us, Blake Ryan Batman, which is good because I could put them and like kind of make, I don't want to touch that mound and and do anything permanent to it, but I can put some winter trees on it, So they find that there's a reforming of Erythnol troops here again, led by another Erythnol priestess, but they find out she's working with an old antithesis who's a specialty priestess of Leviatar named Holly, who, well, we'll see about Holly in the very near future. So come to last Thursday. This is the terrain for Warmonger's Tower, which is to the southwest of Winchester's Bulwark. This is Garth's Keep. Bill is building that right now. That is what, Bill? 75% done, roughly? He's building that. It's the tallest piece we have. It's big. It was Aylwin that died. Okay, Aylwin who became... So we also have a new subgroup, the First Geologic Pathfinders. Aylwin's the leader of that. That's Bill's character, his ranger. He got killed in that previous adventure. And then he appointed Stefan, Walt's character, a cleric ranger, to be his second in command. And it's kind of a specialty group. We'll discuss that in a little bit. Now, this is very basic terrain because if any of you who watched Thursday night know that Carlos did this crazy circular spiral of a module. Well, I started it here at Winchester. I started here at Warmonger's Tower because I wanted to interact with an NPC that you all made up, particularly Rocks made up with Brian, Sublime, and a couple other of your audience. Fiona Swift Thistle, and so I used her again. And this is setting up a prelude to next Thursday. And Garth finds out in our adventure last week something's going on at the Watchers Towers. You need to get out there to. Griffin riders fly in, and he takes off with them, and he has a pet. He has a wyvern that he flies that he got from an egg, I believe, and raised it. So yes, a lot more work needs to be done on this. But look at the detail, guys. I mean, that's all hand done by Seshar Score and Bill, all hand done. So it's just fantastic, and it's a lot of work, and Alan, whose character is Garth, there's Garth, has specifications that he wanted. In particular, no arrow slits whatsoever, because he thinks archers are pussies. Sorry for the non-PC term, I apologize, but he thinks they're, he does not believe fighting at range. He likes going into meleeing. He doesn't like hold person spells. He doesn't like any of that shit. Come to this. Now, this is the Watchers Towers. You've seen these in the previews. I've added to the terrain. But this is where we're going to be Thursday. This is all up on the table. I've added a little bit more in the outskirts here now. We're ready to go. So this is where we are. And it's going to the Watchers Towers. Now, here's another thing. I've had these pictures running, and my players have seen this. No one asked what this keep was on the outside of the two. No one asked. And there's two doors on there, and no one asked. And I was like, man, you guys aren't curious as to who's building that tower? And two ones there. One's Jonar's. Okay, that's cool. So there's a keep out there, and what I'm going to do on this, we're going to run this scenario based. So, by the way, I know I'm bouncing around. Those are freaking awesome towers from Miniature Building Authority. They're called Cenervan Towers. You can use them with the higher walls, but you notice there's no upper doors or anything, so they're standalone. So when I saw them, I had the plan all along to use these for the two Watchers Towers that were built out there. They're perfect. There's a lot of flat space on top for fighting. They're all resin, and they're just beautiful stuff. So I really love what they've done. Kirk, I love the stuff Kirk makes. I know Harbor Town, his Kickstarter's coming in August. We'll finally have we'll have maybe we have it in July, but in August till at Gen Con, he will have a full Harbor Town setup. And that Harbor Town setup, I will be on the floor at Gen Con, out in the Hoosier Dome, or whatever they call it now, the main dome. I will be DMing on the Harbor Town terrain on the Friday, and it'll be open game because it won't be a sign up because it won't be in the gaming area. So if anyone knows they're going to be out in Gen Con and they want to play in that, it'll be Harbor Town's a really cool setup. You've seen the ads for it for 6 months. We've been running ads on it, but I'll be DMing on Friday. Thursday, I'll be DMing with Carlos Lysing. We're doing a 9-hour game, and that sign-ups are the 15th, guys. It's the 12th. There's 6 open for that on the 15th. So, it starts. So if you want to get in with me, DMing the first 4 hours, Carlos DMing the final 4 hours, there's only 6 sign-up spots, so you got to hop on there. Hey, Tycho, thank you. So yeah, well, see, we haven't gotten there yet on this, but my guys, we're all in our early 50s now. I know I look younger than that, but I'm just kidding. So it turns out, and this is where a lot of the tension is. The Prince of Ulick is not a fan of the Order of Ulick, and insane amount of D&D. Yes, Will. That's nothing there. I got a couple new picks coming here. We got more terrain coming up. So a little more added. That's awesome, Will. My guys, things go, it's just obvious. There's another tower being built out there. What the hell's going on? Well, it turns out the Prince of Ulick's idea was, fuck them. We're going to put our own tower out there, Air Watchers Towers. Well, here's the thing. It's not magically done like that. Notice there's more terrain over here now on the right. Okay, so we're going to do this as scenario based. They put this tower out there. It's not magically protected. They're having problems with sinking, and it's not going well. So you have the main people in the Watchers Tower just watching them out there building it and having all sorts of problems. Well, of course, you know that I'm going to be running a scenario with that in mind early on, and it's going to be interesting what the party does. That's more of a finished map there. Notice there's stuff. I'm starting to put stuff on top of the tower. I got more terrain out. I got that scree hill to the right of the Dwarven Keep. That's another terrainscape thing. That's where I took the picture of all the characters that are going to be partaking in this. That's a great piece too by Terrainscapes. That's one of the, like I said, one of the 3 I have. The back elevations are all GeoHex. We've used that to play BattleTech in the late 80s, early 90s. So. Well, rocks. That's it. There you go. That's a good picture of the terrain setup to start for our event coming up on Thursday, and it's called Defense of the Watchers Towers. I think it's going to run 3 weeks. It's going to be scenario based, and I'll explain that in a second. But so getting back to the Prince of Ulick, going back to the days. Thanks. Do you use Incarnate for world maps? No, Time Buster. The world maps are all Anna Meyer, who I'm friends with. Anna Meyer is the best, and Anna's not on tonight. Anna normally comes on every Sunday and partakes in a lot of our discussions and is with me live a lot. But Anna customs her Greyhawk map for my campaign and edits it. It's all these maps are Anna Meyer Greyhawk maps. They're beautiful, and if you want to, her Patreon is the most inexpensive. Yes. Her Patreon is the most inexpensive out of any. It's $5 a month, guys. I'm gonna push hard for Anna here. $5. I know Naz just did it. Let me see if I can pop that up for you here. That's a good request. Let me go to Anna Meyer Patreon real quick. I know I have it linked here. Give me 1 second. I don't have anything in alphabetical order. Anna is the bomb, absolutely. And we're going to do, Anna's doing some commission work for us too. Down the road here, she's going to be doing, can I do a search? God. I know I have it. You know how something like just doesn't jump out at you and you don't know where it is? Oh, there you go, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Blake Ryan and Batman. So she customizes it. She plays in one of my games as well. Thank you so very much. But you can do edits yourself to her maps if you know what you're doing, which is great. But we have more edits to come as we go along. And I'll say this. So, and I want to toot everyone's horn here, including Will and everyone else who's on. Hopefully I don't get like a little crazily, stupidly emotional about this, but when we started doing this, and it's been a year now, hardcore. We were just doing premieres. We weren't doing live streams at this point a year ago. But I have met some of the coolest. Hey, there you go. Hey, Brian. Yes, Brian DMs for Anna. I wouldn't have met, like, except for my close friends. I wouldn't have met any of you. I wouldn't have met Mike. I wouldn't have met Anna. I wouldn't have met Brian Blumklotz, Icarus, Alan Groh. I wouldn't Carlos Lysing, and all of you that are make this channel such a great success. If we weren't doing the streaming and the assistance that we've gotten in the partnership, because we're all trying to do the same thing, and that's get Greyhawk back into the published source realm again with Wizards of the Coast, right? That's why we have this Future of Greyhawk group that some of us belong to. That's a group that went to Gary Con, did a presentation, and got the Earth Journal out again. What did I do with it? Jeez. Got the Earth Journal out again after all these years, and we, all of us have. Mike, me, Carlos, we all have articles in here or some kind of input to it. So I wouldn't we wouldn't be where we are, and we'd still be in the shadows, which would be kind of sad. But with Brian's heraldry and Anna's maps, it just enhances our campaign even that much more, because I have a map now. I have a Greyhawk map with all my locations on it, with all of our keeps, with all of our battle sites, with all of our points of interest, and it's so awesome, guys. So that's what's so cool about where we've gone in all this time with our Greyhawk campaign. We've been here for 39 years, but we've been in the community for a year now. And it's been a I hate to do this. What do they say in what a long strange trip it's been? It's been a fantastic trip last year. So I just wanted to say thanks to everyone. And I know I say it a lot, but it's really enhanced our play in the campaign. And that's the thing with so the heraldry I'm scanning through, a lot of that's her custom make too. Tycho. So let me tell you something. If you play Greyhawk, Tycho, this is where you want to be with Anna and us and the Greyhawk channel and Will, Wicked Studios LLC. We're the three. Greyhawk channel, us, and Wicked Studios. We're the three main Greyhawk streamers, the only ones out there. The mapping is unbelievable. Anna is so nice. She'll do things. But once you become a Patreon for $5 for her, I mean, it's a no-brainer, man. You'll get everything. You'll get all the content. She puts out special, all sorts of special stuff. It's great. And please, if you like what we're talking about here and future stuff, please give us a follow too. I'm trying to get to 1,000 after a year. We're almost there. All right. So here's another thing. All right, here we go. I'm gonna put this up real quick. I'm getting front. It's only been since Wednesday. All right, but here you go. I'll put this up for a minute. In review, thanks for applying to be a Twitch partner. Your partnership application is currently being reviewed. That's what I still get on my screen on the application. So, well, thank you. Thank you so very much. That's what I get now. I'm looking forward to that saying approved or denied. My guess is, and the rumor I got out there, I've heard from a lot of people, is you're going to get denied the first time, and they want you to keep your numbers up for a month. We'll see. So, thank you so very much. Yeah, but I'm excited that I got that screen, and it's all because of you guys. Yeah, I'm almost somebody, almost, but we're in review for partnership. Now, we've been affiliate for, 10, 11 months, but that's a big thing. And with these viewer numbers, guys, thank you. And it's only going to bring more stuff to us all. I've been talking to Will about it. I've been talking to other channels. We're going to create a team of streamers and crafters. I think we're going to call it, hopefully, this is just if we get approved at some point, we're going to call it D&D RPG /crafting cooperative, I think, or D&D RPG D&D RPG / crafting coalition, one of those, and we're gonna have a whole bunch of a team. And if you've ever seen those teams up, that's what we're gonna do. Try and get the. Thank you. I'm trying. We're trying, and let me tell you something. It's been a hard. When we started, we had a viewership average under 3. We've really worked hard. We have a lot of really great people that are associated. The DM's Roundtable is awesome, too. Thank you, Bill. So, I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent here. I know Game of Thrones is coming up soon, too. Getting back to the campaign. Sorry for I just wanted to say thank you, though, to everyone. There's an army. There's multiple armies that are approaching, and this is how I'm going to do the fighting a little differently this time. I'm not going to do a big hash it out free for all on the table. It's too much. So what I'm going to do is I've turned it into a scenario based missions. Okay. So I got scenario 1 right here of it. All the notes for it. Okay. I'm going to try and do 2 scenarios a week. So as these player characters come in, there's going to be fighting that has already taken place, and they will have to make some decisions. Now, you know how I do things. Every player actually has 2 characters involved in this. They're going to have to decide which one of their characters goes wherever. So there's going to be some key decisions that need to be made, and based on how each scenario goes, that'll be how the end scenario goes. So that's how we're going to run this a little differently, to make it not a mass casualty combat like we did with Attack at Winchester's Bulwark, which was fun, but it was just like hour-long round. Who wants hour-long rounds? All right, that's cool, Rocks. Yeah, I figured tonight we go to 9 and maybe run a little later than that, but we'll go till its natural conclusion without any guests, So getting through. There's a picture again of the group. I want to freeze it here one more time. I'll go through all the characters for you. Oh, hurry! Boom. Okay. All right. So this is on that Scree Hill. This is that Terranscape Scree Hill, right in the smack dab middle of the table. Here's the characters we're going to see. Okay. We talked about Shlem and Meal already. We'll talk about them again. I got the whole pile of them here somewhere. Here we go. Okay. Shlem and Meal. 13th level Mountain Dwarf Fighter. Neutral good alignment. Middle aged. He's 211 years old, which is middle aged for a dwarf. Worships Clangeddin Silverbeard. Has a +5 battle axe of sharpness. Okay. This character was cometized. If anyone knows the joke about the comet, if anyone ever saw the Night of the Comet movie from the late 80s, you get the idea of what I'm talking about. He was characters right on that border being Monty Hall. A comet appears in the sky and sprinkles down shit on them, and that's from that movie Night of the Comet. And so I undo some of his cloak of displacement's gone. It's retired, and I tweaked the characters a little bit so that they fit and we could play a higher level character in the campaign again. So Schlemmen was one of the last characters. You like that? Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the dude from Voyager was in that, and God, what was it? It wasn't Christy Swanson. It was she did a lot of movies. She did oh God, she has like 3 names. Blonde. I always thought it was the girl from Footloose, but it's not. So yeah, they could. Well, it was Despater back then. So Schlemmen Meal. Walt's really excited. Colby is really excited about playing this character. He hasn't played this character in a long time. We'll see what happens there with him. Okay, next. NPC, the only one I'm going to talk about. Female with the red hair to the far left, Marion Winchester. Of course, another Winchester, right? She is the daughter of Emerson Winchester III. He's dead. He's the fallen paladin, and Dana Colwell Rushford. Okay, so she's a water elementalist. I told Jay we had too many DMs last time, but everyone said something. The topic was beat to death. Oh, okay, yeah, all right. So yeah, on the DMs roundtable, we had 8 DMs. That was a lot. But you got to remember, that's it. Catherine Murray Stewart, absolutely. Gitano, absolutely. That's who it is. And she did a lot of stuff in the '80s, and that she was in that awful movie that I love with Michael Paré and Adam Ant, World Gone Wild, and Bruce Dern's in it too. Yeah, that's a terrible post-apocalyptic movie, but she's in that one too. Adam Ant's the bad guy, and he has his book, and he's carrying around his book, and it's from Charles Manson. That's his Bible. Yeah, check that, and they're all fighting over water. Yeah, check that one out. Um, Marion Winchester's a water elementalist. Remember, we have elementalists. We have 6 different types. She's a specialty mage. She's the XO behind Garth Warmonger. Garth is not happy about this, but Funk and Hottie Peak, second in command of the Order of Ulick, did it. So he stuck with it, and this is my NPC. Okay. Yes, and that's cool, Brian. Absolutely. But you got to remember, Tim jumped in. I didn't expect Tim to join us. Also, Tim was available, and Tim's got as much DMing experience as me, so that gave us an 8th instead of 7, and it's all cool. Yeah, absolutely. But next time we'll add in. We're gonna add Duff from Praetor's Rejects and a couple other people. Hopefully, we'll get them in too as well. Not as good as I think World Gone Wild's better. Well, Cherry 2000, that's close, man. Melanie Griffith, she's a little stocky in that. Yeah, that's a Cherry 2000. Oh my gosh, that's funny. All right, so Aylwin, the Ranger, he's in the back row, next to last on the left. Aylwin, you've probably seen him. Aylwin is the commander of the First Ulick Pathfinders. He's a Ranger. He died recently on that Back to the Battle Site adventure. He's 9th level Ranger. These aren't super high level characters either. 13th's high, but this guy's 9th. His second in command is Stefan. He's to his right in the back row. Stefan is a 10-9 Ranger Cleric, multi-class half elf. He's from the Valley of the High Folk, actually. And he is that's one of Walt's characters. He does have natural 1800 strength. But interesting character. One of the few characters with a strength bow in the game. He's got a long composite strength bow. It's non-magical though, so not sure what that'll do for this. But Bill's other character in the back row, far left, Sarah Leone. I went with Sarah instead of Sunhild. Dual class paladin, specialty priestess of Mayheen. Great mix. Has a semi artifact weapon from the Slaver's book. Brecknell, which is there's a paladin's. Her essence is in the bastard sword, and it talks to her and gives her some other special abilities. That's right out of the Slaver's reference modules. So she has it. She's from the Ulick Defenders Against Slavery group. I think she's the only one that'll be representing that group, but she's a Knight of Ulick as well. I mean, all these characters are Knights of Ulick or retired Knights of Ulick coming out of retirement. All right, Alan, right in the middle, his half-orc Lord Garth Warmonger, Slayer of Dragons. That's kind of a joke. All right, he's the commander of the Order of Ulick in the Pomarj Principality Theater. He is a 10-10 fighter cleric. Okay, Deity of Cord. He's not a specialty priest. He's multi-class fighter cleric. 119 hit points. Nice. Has probably the highest constitution in the game, 20. No other stat. His wisdom's 15. That's his next highest stat. But he's the one whose tower, Warmonger's tower. That's his keep, and that's on the map here. So it's right on the. He's currently running the Watcher's towers, and we're going to get a little political intrigue between him and Schlemmen. I think that's going to be an interesting discussion before we actually start some combat on Thursday night, because not everyone's happy with Schlemmen Meal. You'll have to figure out why. Hey, Tycho, thank you, man. And please try and meet Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern. Try and catch the beginning of this. But thank you very much for the follow. Really appreciate it. So I know Game of Thrones is going to be starting shortly. So yes, excited about everything. So Garth, here's Garth's motto. It's right on his sheet. I do not think there is a thing alive that can kick my ass. That's right now in handwriting. So, yeah. He is a funny character, very insanely brave, tells a lot of stories, has had scars, all had a lot of stuff cut off, but and a very interesting, very confident character. And thank you for that, Tycho. He loves Alan loves playing him. Alan's other character is really going out into the graveyard too. The owner and commander of, I'm going to move myself over 1 second. Up top here, the White Tower, all the way up here north of Orog's Mound. Another Order of Hewlett Keep. Can I move myself back now? Zoom. There we go. No, I got to move this down, move this over. Okay. That would be Herbie the White. And you ask why his name's Herbie the White? He's on the first row far left. If you take a look, it's probably the oldest character. Hi, good night. Love you. Probably the oldest character painted we have. Shut the door all the way, please, okay? Thank you. That was my son. It's dipped in white enamel, basically, so we call him Herbie the Dipped. Hey, Nixel, thanks. I gotta say that. Love my son. I have one and only son. One wife, one son. So, listen to me, one wife. That's funny. This character is a 13th level Paladin Cavalier subclass, right out of the Unearthed Arcana, but we converted him over to the Dragon magazine because we hate the Unearthed Arcana version. So, oh, awesome. Okay, that's good to hear, Bill. He's old. He should be 65. Now, just talking about how old these characters get in our campaign, but he's 41 with an unnatural of negative 24. Problem is, it's still middle aged. Yeah, see, Blake, we had a couple gabbins about that. We love the Dragon magazine version that came out before Arcana came out, and that's what we use. Oh, I left that down. All right, so in our main book, we don't go with the Unearthed Arcana version of the Cavalier anymore. We go back to the Dragon version. That's the one they're similar. Just the way weapon proficiencies go is a little different. So that's what we use. But we use the Barbarian definitely in the Unearthed Arcana. Absolutely. So he's his deity's Thor. So that's a good question. So not too long ago, if you go back and if they're not on here, excuse me, it only keeps it for 60 days. It may still be on in the Gabbin series. We have Delving into the Paladin, like Ryan Batman. We don't use the Lyran Paladin and all based on alignments, but we have subclasses of Paladin. We use an Undead Hunter, and we have what's called the Inquisitor. Inquisitor is ripped right out of Baldur's Gate 2, that fantastic, one of the best RPGs of all time. I modified it for our campaign, but so we have those. But the Plethora of Paladins article, a lot of people refer back to it. We don't do that. Instead we go with these other two subclasses of Undead Hunter and Inquisitor. So, and then we have a Fighter Paladin subclass, old school first edition, Cavalier Paladin subclass. They're a little different. So it was about 2 months ago, Nexel. Yep, it's right on the border. If it's not available on Twitch, you can go to my YouTube mirror, Lord Gazumba, with a space between Lord and Gazumba, and it'll be on there. So I put all our old vids up on a YouTube mirror there, and you can see all the old stuff if it's not on Twitch. Cool, man. Absolutely. Next week we have a new delving too. I know it's the Game of Thrones finale, but I'm gonna run another delving class next week. So this character, he has 15/65 strength for a Cavalier Paladin, 13th level, but he's like +6/+6. He fights with a Frostbrand. That's not a lot of pluses for 13th level character, but it'll be interesting to see. Temporal Lakesland, you've seen her multiple times. She was one of the heroes of the attack on Winchester's Bulwark when she sovereign glued the trebuchet that was shooting trolls in. That's Mark's character. She's the commanding officer of Selenian Theater for the Order of Hewlett. She's the one who has the amphitheater in the town of East Vesper in Selene. A very well-renowned character in our campaign. Another 10-10 fighter cleric. And that's the character on the far right. That's Temporal Lakesland. Really good character by Mark. Mark's second character, Arden the Vanquisher, the dwarf in the back row on the right. He is not a Knight of Ulick. Arden the Vanquisher is a Prince of Ulick follower. This is Mark's other character. He's lawful neutral. Klangen worshiper, 11th level fighter. He fights with Horkar the Magnificent. This is brilliance by Mark, playing a guy who's an antithesis to all the knights. So you'll see this guy in scenario 2 probably on Thursday night. And let me tell you something, a lot of people hate Mark's characters. So, but it's a great, a little bit of a, that not everyone gets along. They get along when they have to, but not everyone gets along. So we talked about Stefan. That's Walt's other character, the 10-9 Cleric Ranger. I'm sorry, 9-10 Cleric Ranger. Second in command of the first Ulick Pathfinders, the new group that we're doing with our first levels that we brought up. A bunch of scout types. And then the final two. Yes. Everyone, Michael Baton. That's it. Glory be Michael Baton. Our Toms. Ace Broadhead, who's on the front row, the one with the bow on the right. You guys saw him. You've seen him in a lot of adventures. 10th level Archer. Leonard Lakofka Archer we've used one of our first classes we ever added back in the 80s, early 80s. He's +8, +7 with a bow. Only archers in our campaign get 3 hours around. So a nice one. Ace set up that tower is Ace's, and what we did with these new group of firsts, they're getting trained under Ace, so they get these Ace's arrows, the amplitude, they get bonus hit points. So we added special training in this new group of characters we're bringing up now. The mages under Gilgalad have access his library at the keep, and they have special things they get. They can get a Eureka moment, which Walt's character got right off the bat, and they got to spell Ward Away, the special spell that they learned and added to the library. So we keep, that tower's at the bulwark being built. So, yeah, that black tower is not finished. So Sashar Scorin's still working on it, but we needed it for Thursday night. So, and then the last character, he hopped in on that attack on Winchester's Bulwark in week 3 when Tom came back to the campaign, and that's Tom the Vindicator, named after, and then you have Tom the Younger, his son, in the lower level group, generational, half elves generational. That tells you that's a long time. So he's a fighter mage, 9/11. That's the group of characters that are going to be playing on Thursday night, depending on the scenario. Depending on what they choose, and it'll be, like I said, it's not going to be all just hack and slash. There's going to be a lot of RP to it. There's going to be a lot of discussion. There's going to be a lot of, hey, how are you? There's going to be like, where have you been all these years? There's going to be a lot of that kind of going on. I'm interested to see how this will go. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to have some neat things brewing, and you're going to see some faces. Not in the first week. You're gonna be surprised, though. I guarantee you, I got some big surprise coming on Thursday. But the real characters of antiquity, the baddies, you're probably gonna see on week 3. Nasty, nasty characters that I have brought out from the cobwebs. Found their character sheets, and some baddies. Really nasty people. I haven't used in a while, and yeah, that's going to be fun. So, but I'll just give you a hint. Scenario number 1 is titled Overrun. Okay, there you go. That's the name of scenario number 1 for Thursday night. So, we'll see how this goes. It's an order, like I said, this is a true Order of Ulick, Knight of Ulick event. We're trying to keep them. Let me get that schooler running. I got a lot of bar scenes on the lower from all the adventures. A lot of them took place in Winchester's Bulwark, in the Bronze Dragon Inn, because they have the Night of the Order of Yulk has a bronze dragon, Strantulis. So yeah, not bad, eh? Um, but we will see. We will see how things go on Thursday with this. Uh, High levels can be very tough to manage. They can be very difficult for you to, make sure you have the balance on them. You don't want to make them too difficult. You don't want to make them so that you're slaughtering characters just outright for the sake of slaughter, because that's not fun. You want to make it so you have people that are characters that are, have a chance, and so it's a real balancing act. Do they have comet fragments? Uh I had to cometize one or two of them a little bit, right? Yeah, to make the balance, because some of them are higher level than the party itself. I made one major change. I had someone who I was bringing in, and then this morning I made a change because of who's coming now. I had to make it, so I took someone out and put someone in. So I have a lot of fun, changes coming. So I know Game of Thrones is coming on, but I wanted to go over what's going on in our area, the Pomarj and the Principality Ulick. So there's these armies coming, and you can assume from where. We'll talk about that on Thursday, but yes, there's some from Killen Lakos. If anyone knows where that is, it's covered on the map now, but that's the home city of the slavers now. And supposedly where Tarash Mack has been holed up all this time. If you know anything in the Slavers reference, you know who he is. He's actually an alias. But there's going to be some from there. There's going to be some Erythnols. It's a mix. It's kind of like a powwow of baddies have come together to try and finally take this menace out in the Pomarj, and then they'll work their way back in toward the Principality. First, you got to take out the menace sticking way out there. Kind of like Bastogne, right? Kind of like that in, Germans Battle of the Bulge. You can't go anywhere unless they take, they are successful in wiping out and that area, and the U.S. troops held there. It's kind of the same idea. So, yep. No, generations of characters are so with our time frame. I'm trying to think of how many years has passed. If you go back to the founding of Wales Castle in 583, we're at 635. You're talking about 52 years of game time. Kind of throws, but we incorporate all the published source stuff in where we can. I think I had it put that the From the Ashes box that takes place in our timeline, either 610 or 611. So I try and put those published sources in where we can fit stuff and where stuff makes sense, just to keep the flow so we're not too far off. This is the spot on the map that we're furthest off from anything. Once again, if you take a look at Anna's map, she's got all the Living Greyhawk incorporated here. Had to clean that all off. It's no big deal. Like I said, it's great what they did in Living Greyhawk. I know Greyhawk Reborn has the Kingdom of Keelan completely fractured. We still have the Kingdom of Keelan as a strong kingdom. So it just depends on the game and the campaign. That's it. You make it your own, and that's the great thing about Greyhawk is it's Gary Gygax. It's always meant for it to be built up by the dungeon master and by whoever was running the game, and that's why I love Greyhawk so much. Another thing, it's a lot of open land, open areas. Game of Thrones is on, Bill. I know you got to roll too. So awesome. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, man. So I guess we'll just do some announcements here, and we can call it an evening. Some of the good things that yep, some of the great things coming up in the future here. So we're going to be running for the next 3 Thursdays. I believe it'll be 3 Thursdays. We're going to be running this major event with scenarios, Defense of the Watcher's Towers. So that'll be on 3 Thursdays. Next Sunday, Mark's game is not this Monday. Remember, it's every other Monday. So Mark will be on a week from Monday. But next Thursday, we're going to go back to doing a a new delving. I'm going to do delving into the illusionist, a class that really got shafted. Well, people thought it got shafted when second edition came out, but when you look, if you hybridize a first and second edition illusionist, they're not too bad. So we're going to look at the illusionist and all the classes that have illusionist type spells. So we'll do illusionist, our shadow mage, which is one of my creations, which gets used a lot in our campaign now. It's kind of an enhancer to, usually they're multi-class: shadow mage thief, shadow mage bounty hunter, shadow mage assassin. Talk about them. Talk about the jester. Right out of Dragon magazine, we've enhanced their spell list, a lot of illusionist spells on that, and the bard, which we have a bard. We'll talk about it a little bit, but I think bard deserves its own show sometime. But we have 3 different types of bards. No, it does not. Good question, though, Blake Ryan Batman. So here's a quick synopsis for you on that. Shadow magery. Shadow is its own sphere. You know how you have different like types of spells. Evocation or abjuration or summoning, and you have the sphere of shadow. So shadow spells never had enough spells in the list, but then you go through the Great Net Spellbook and you find a bunch of them. Like we always enhance it. So in our city of Altamira, there's this tower that no one knows about why it's there. It was built, and supposedly this reclusive mage lives in it. So certain characters were drawn there, and now they have this special pendant which enhances their shadow spells. No one knows what's going on. So it's kind of how I started it, but most of them are multi-class and they're shadow mage thieves, right? So they get a lot of like obscure shadow bolt, net of shadows, shadow magic type spells where they can like cast the shadow image of a magic missile. We'll go over that. It's a cool class. They can see in the dark. They can obscure their shadow without casting a spell. There's all different sorts of things they can do. And there's a shadow dancer that came out in like I want to say between second and third edition. I think it's more of a second edition. It came out for Forgotten Realms. This is not the Shadow Dancer. This is a separate thing, a Shadow Mage. So, well, yes, but true. A lot of these guys are. See, Ouija is necromantic. So we have a specialty priestess of Ouija in our game. They have necromancer spells in their priest list. So some of them may actually be shadow spells too, because they can use up to 4th level necromancer spells depending on what level supplementing their priest spell lists, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. They only get as high as 4th. So there are some shadow spells in that, but it's a necromantic that that Ouija gets. We love specialty priests of Ouija. They are super powerful in our game. They have a lot of abilities, and they have a weird combination where they can cast Spectral Hand, have that hand move around, and then cast healing spells through touch. So they don't have to go up to someone. If they want to heal someone, they can do it at range. In first edition, you always had to go up and do a touch. They can use a Spectral Hand and actually touch, accumulate wounds through it, which is kind of cool. So neat thing. Good point there. So yeah, and then we'll do bards. We have 3 different types of bards. Bards get the Druidic Skald version, which is the base version that's in the Player's Handbook. The illusionist version of a bard, which is in the Dragon magazine, and the song bard, which basically came out in 3rd edition. So we have song spells. So our bard, which is a fighter / thief, then go to bard, that's where the illusionist part of that will come in. But I think bards really, we'll talk about that last. I think they deserve their own entire show because bards can turn out to be some of the most powerful characters in the game just because of the way they're set up. So that's what we'll do. We'll delve into the illusionist next Sunday. I'm looking forward to that discussion. I know it's the Game of Thrones finale, so I wanted to throw a delving in there that you could, if you miss it because of the finale or at a party or something, you can always go back and watch it. So yes, bards don't have to be musicians. They don't. Absolutely. So and then the Sunday after that, Celestian who's one of my, if everyone knows Sleston/GC, who is Mike Wilson. He will be on, and we're going to go and do. We talk about Fantasy Grounds and Fantasy Grounds Unity that's coming out. That'll be 2 weeks from Sunday. He's going to show some tricks of the trade. He actually did the coding for making Fantasy Grounds 2E capable and got all the approval for it and all. And I want to have him talk about that because we use a VTT when Brian Sublime DMs for us. And that is the last thing I want to talk about. That's our next Saturday night special, Saturday, June 1st, 8 o'clock p.m. East EDT. Brian Sublime will be DMing for at least myself, the Nazrat, and Anna Meyer, and then we'll see about Bill. But at least we're going to get another. We'll have 4 at least, but that'll be the next time. We'll continue that Iris of the Moon Part 2. With our 5th edition characters that we play. The only time I've ever played 5th edition was with Brian DMing, and we'll do that, continue that on Saturday, June 1st. And that kind of takes us through June, because then we're starting to get into Gen Con and conventions and stuff, so we'll see where we go from there. So, El Kabong. So that's what's going to be going on through the next month. We'll have stuff on Thursdays. We'll have stuff, Thursday, Sunday, our schedule will keep true. Mark will throw in a Monday. We're going 5 broadcasts every 2 weeks, not counting the Saturday night specials. But we're going to try and keep the Saturday night specials going at least once every 4 to 6 weeks to keep that extra content up. So that's where we are, guys. And anyone else have anything they want to say or announce? I know I said I'd stop at 9, but we'll go to 9:15, 9:20. Is anyone have any questions before we? About Thursday night, about anything. I'm really excited about this thing Thursday. It's been a lot of prep work, but that's the great thing about DMing. Hopefully you have the time. Let me see this. What do you got up there, Bill? Brian, what do you got? What is this? Art Station. Ah, there it is. That's your character. That's what you have on your Twitter feed, I thought. And are those the characters you're using? Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Awesome, man. Yeah. So he does a lot of like I said, if anyone who did not watch our last Saturday night special, I know that's up under we have 2 sets of groups. I know it's up under our streamed, adventures. Brian DM'd that. We had a little bit of a sound issue earlier. Got that figured out, but it was a great time using Fantasy Grounds and Brian DMing, and I was playing. That was a blast. Oh, well, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. I tried to give it all to you. Like I said, normally someone else is helping me with commenting, but tonight it was it was Mother's Day, and the next last Game of Thrones one, we can only do so much. Next week will be even more be interesting. I'm excited about everything that's been going on. I'm excited about what's going on with Twitch and our partnership application. Thank you all for that. And the campaign's going great. We have a lot of things going on. I have a new article I have submitted for the next Dirt Journal. It's called The Free Swords of Greyhawk. It goes over all of our mercenary groups that we have in Greyhawk City, published source that we've edited, and our own. So hopefully that gets approved. And then the Iron Brigade will be, I'm making another article, hopefully in time, that discusses that one in detail in Greyhawk City. That's what I'm working on as far as public writing. And then all the other stuff going on. So thank you all tonight. If anyone doesn't have any other comments, I think I'll go on to an exit screen. Needed that. A lot of talking tonight. All right, so see you all Thursday, 7:30. No giveaways for a couple weeks here until we get into the next Miniature Building Authority giveaway, which is, I think, the 12th or 13th of let me see, that date is Thursday the 13th, where subs get are eligible for a $75 gift certificate, and followers, which count subs as well, are eligible for a $25, but you have to be on for that one. So, hey, thank you. Thank you so very much. And then my goal with Stratagem for next month is the waterway set to give that away if they can. So I know we had a great giveaway on Thursday with the DM screens and the DM kit. That Icarus actually won and Grendel won a DM screen. But I'm trying to get the waterway set as the giveaway for next month. I love the 2D. It's been very useful for me. We used it on Thursday night. I used that as that little pool of water in the Master Maze. The Dormforge Master Maze worked perfectly. Also for underneath water. Cool things. You can do all sorts of different setups with it, and it's flat. It goes right on your overlay that you have, your mat. It's perfect for it. So hopefully, yes, Brian, I'm hoping that they allow the Colin, the sales rep. Yeah, thank you very much. That they let me use that, do that as the next giveaway. If they give me 3 of them, it'll be great because I already have one, so I don't need a reference one. So I'd love to get 4, but if they can only give me 3, I'll give them all away. So. All right, guys, I'm going to go to the stratagem screen and then an NBA screen, and we're going to call it a night here. But thank you all so very much for coming on tonight and hanging with me for this discussion about our situation in the Principality and the Pomarj. I love bringing this information to you. You can always go and reach me on Discord. If you want to join the Discord server for Greyhawk, let me put that up. Let me just put that up real quick before I call it a night. Yes, thank you all. Let me get that up real quick here. If you want to join the Discord server, there's no charge or anything. We're not looking. Just please, everyone who's on's a follower. That's fine. Let me go find this real quick. Let me go to announcements here, and I'll set you the link up. And here it is. I'll give you this for those who are not members of it. Copy and paste this in. There you go. That's the Discord server for Greyhawk Online. Please feel free anytime. I'll see you guys all. See you all Thursday night, 7:30. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. See you. You want to hear me talk to myself, Brian? There's the waterway set to the right. So